Hi, Robin.
Hey Albert.
Yeah, hey, thanks for joining us. Today, for our audience, as for some of you who have already been following us, this is our series, a founder's journey into Bitcoin. And today, we're very lucky to have Robin, the CEO and co-founder of Liquidium. This is a very revolutionary product built on top of Bitcoin, but I'm not going to reveal too much right now because Robin's going to tell us about that, right? But before we talk about Liquidium, let's Robin, I'm sure the audience is very curious. Before you're doing Liquidium, as I understand that you're going all in now, right? But before you started Liquidium, what were you doing?
It's a pleasure to be here. So, actually, I grew up in a rural area near Munich, with my parents, obviously, and like they also had a company, or they still have a company where they produce like bathtubs and showers and everything. And I think this is like kind of why the idea of being a founder myself or something wasn't too alien for me. And I think like just the story of my parents kind of also helped me to get into the self-employment lifestyle. I don't know. My dad was kind of like a do-it-yourself guy all of his life. So that's kind of where I come from, Germany. Munich, right?
Oh, okay, excellent, excellent. So when you're growing up around the house, how often would like business come up at dinner or around the house? Like, can you
Oh
sort of
man,
share a little bit about that?
it was like I almost grew up in like the store of my parents. Like all of the employees there know me since like I was a tiny guy. Um, and yeah, kind of like it. I think if you are kind of self-employed and have your own business, it is kind of your lifestyle. And especially since both of my parents worked for the company, it definitely was always a topic, and yeah, something that kind of brought me nearer to all of this.
Oh, nice, nice. So I'm reading between the lines. So your dad and your mom work together.
Right, yeah.
Oh, how romantic. So, and how long were they doing this for, or have they been doing this for?
The company exists since 1895. So
Oh,
I'm actually the fourth generation. Right.
oh, oh, wow. Okay. Family business. So how do they feel about you like doing something like not related to their business?
I think it was always clear to them because I always was like my brother's more of the traditional guy, and like I was always someone who had like a lot of side hustles. Actually, back in school, I had like I think my first business kind of was back when I was 12 years old. I sold designs, like banners and PFPs to YouTubers, and then like after that, I started like my own phone repair kind of business where I repaired phones for family and friends, and
Oh,
then
hold on.
like
Hold
yeah.
on. You said you're 12 and you're selling
Yeah,
banners and PFPs. Like, what do you mean by PFPs? Like
yeah.
PFPs?
I was like I was very fascinated by Photoshop, and when I got like a little um Pirates of the Caribbean version of Photoshop, if you know what I mean, then I
All right.
started just working with it, and yeah, watched like a bunch of YouTube videos and just learned how to create some like PFPs and banners for YouTube channels. So that was
Oh,
kind of my first business.
so you would design these things for people's advertisements.
Right, exactly.
Oh, oh, nice. And I mean, you're going to school, so I mean, how much time do you spend on this? I'm just curious. Like, was it like
Um,
a daily thing or just over the
y-
weekends? Like, how was this?
it was like always when I came back from school, this was kind of what I was doing. And like on the weekends, I think like I spent most of my time with just friends, and yeah, it was kind of a hobby. So like the things like the side hustles I did in the beginning, like they were always just for fun and not because I was expecting to make a profit off them. Was just like some passion, I think. So
Okay,
yeah.
all right. So, but did you charge for these designs? These
Yes, I
banners?
did. But just like 10 or 20 bucks or something. And I
10
put
or
like
20
hours
bucks
of time
what?
in them.
Like euros or?
Euros, yeah.
Okay, that's not bad. That's like some good pocket change for a kid, right? All
Yeah,
right,
definitely.
so that was when you're 12. I'm actually curious. What did you do after that? So why did you stop doing that? And you must have found something more fun. That's my guess.
Yeah.
Like what happened?
I think like I don't know the reason why I stopped doing it, but then like the next kind of evolution was like a fascination in hardware. So I started doing like phone repairs. Actually, that's also something I learned from YouTube. And then like I started doing phone repairs for family and friends. And what I didn't know at that time is that all of my friends seem to break their phones like every week. Like they came to me and were handing phones at me. I had times where I went home and my school bag was like I had like 6 phones in them, in there. Um, and that's when it was just like a little bit too much to do after school. So I kind of hired a guy to do it with me. So then we were doing it together a little bit. But like I didn't really want to charge my family and friends on it. So it was just a little bit too much work to do. And like not making any money from it. So that's also something that I stopped later on, but it was like a very interesting time, definitely.
Okay. So it sounded like your parents were pretty supportive of you with your side hustles.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, like I went to school. I was not writing the baddest grades, so I think it was fine for them.
Okay.
And also, yeah, they
Okay.
they
And
are
so
supportive.
so let's so after this phone hustle, what else did you do? No, hold on. I'm curious. When you say you hired somebody, like what you split the profits with them, or what do you mean by
Yes,
hire?
like yeah,
Okay.
we kind of yeah we split profits. And we kind of started handing out banners and everything. Um, so just to grow our business a little bit, but at the end of the day, it
When you say
didn't
banners, you mean
make a lot of
flyers,
money.
right? Like you're
Right,
handing out.
right.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Where would you hand those out? I'm just curious.
In school, just in school.
Oh, very smart. Very smart. Okay. So what happened after that? What's the next hustle?
So the next thing I think kind of was after school, because of kind of my little tech background or just hacking background. I think we like I actually had one situation where a friend of mine was in Spain, and like her phone was stolen, and like she needed help, and my girlfriend told her like just ask Robin, he knows everything about it and so on. And then fast forward, they were at an Apple store, um, uh, talking about like everything I proposed and stuff like that. And the guy at the Apple store said like, "Oh, that guy has worked for Apple." So that's kind of the next side hustle I did. So after school, I started working at Apple. First like part time, and then started working full time.
Oh,
And but it was kind of like a 9 to 5 job, and I didn't really enjoy it that much. I think like
how old
definitely
were you?
the
How old were you at that time?
At that time, I was, I think, uh, either 17 or 18 when I started working
Okay.
there.
So what was it missing? What was it missing? Since like you said, full times, like.
Yeah, so actually I skipped over 2 jobs I did before. And both of them were more like freelancer like, or actually 3. And Apple was like the first time I really felt like, okay, I'm just an employee in a bunch of like preset work environment, and my everything like every time before I worked at Apple, I felt like everything I'm doing contributes to something, or like helps helps the achieving a goal of something. And at Apple, I didn't feel that because I was just like a tiny part of like a huge chain, and I didn't feel like I was making progress in that kind of sense. So what I did is I started working on an NFT collection in my breaks and on the evenings. And that's actually what got me into the startup I'm doing right now. So I know
Wow.
for a 21-year-old guy, I think it's like some experience. So yeah, very, very happy to be at this stage right now.
Yeah, you're really lucky to have that experience. I've done quite a work researching entrepreneurs and trained hundreds of them. And I have noticed some patterns, and the ones that are able to make it, early 20s, 20 plus or minus, they almost all started around like 11 to 13 on a side hustle. Like Richard Branson, the founder of Virgin, like Bill Gates. I don't know if he had a side hustle, but he started coding like around that time. Um, Steve Jobs had side hustles. Like just about everyone, like, if you look at the ones that can succeed earlier on, they've all had side hustles. And so hopefully,
Yeah,
this project, you also follow the same pattern. It de-risks a lot. It's like people who do their first startup or first business when they're early 20s, if they haven't done side hustles, the first 1 or 2 are usually like training wheels. You know what I mean? They're training wheels, and then the third one they succeed. But so not to give any pressure though, but that's the pattern I saw. So you have like you have much higher chance, right? I mean, there's nothing's for sure in life, but the pattern that I saw is that you definitely, if you focus, you're definitely going to do something big with this project. Did you want to say something before we jump to the next section?
yeah, I think like it's very interesting how many young people are actually in the blockchain space right now, and I really like seeing these young guys. I know there's this one guy who is in the stacks, like very active in the stacks community, who now also started coding, and he's 13 years old. So like keep it up, if you're young and start doing something that's the right way.
Yeah, and follow your heart, right? I mean, if you're a teenager, or doesn't matter what age you are really, but if you have that urge to try something, just try it. um you know just be curious, and create value, right? So it's interesting because a lot of people may get the job first before they have something entrepreneurial, and then that's all they know. But it's very interesting that you had some entrepreneurial side hustles where you're creating value for people, and then so you had that as a benchmark, and then you went like, it's basically the opposite extreme, because Apple's probably like, well, publicly traded companies is what, top 2 biggest companies globally. So you
Top
went
one.
from like, is it top 1 right
Uh,
now? Okay,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay, so yeah, there you go. So you went from like entrepreneur to like the other end of the spectrum, which is like the biggest. Like you said, it's got its processes in place, right? And then so you're able to compare the two. Not everyone's so lucky. A lot of people that just know, like, you know the Apple or the big company, and they get stuck there because it's hard for them to, you can't blame them because they haven't experienced the other thing. So it's very hard to imagine the other thing. You know what I mean? So so you went to Apple, but you felt something was missing. So you went back to your entrepreneurial spirit and you started playing with NFTs, right? And then, as I understand, you launched an NFT.
Right. I think you're on mute right now.
Well, how long was that meet for?
You said I launched the NFT collection.
Oh, okay. Okay, yeah. So you launched an NFT collection on Stacks. Is that correct?
Right.
Right. And when was this? Like, how long ago was this? Like, how many? Last year?
I started working on it in late 2021, and we brought the collection to market in like early 2022. So like about a year ago, a little more.
Wow. How things can change in 1 year, right?
Yeah, it feels like 10 years, honestly.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean, your improvement is also like astronomical. So how, let's get a feel. So you went from like, $10, $20 doing your side hustles per job. And then how many NFTs was in that collection?
it was, so we had two collections, one OG collection, which was 25 NFTs, and then another collection, which was the big collection, which was 400 NFTs.
Okay. So you guys put in some work in there. And
Yeah,
like what was the how many stacks you sold in stacks, right?
right.
Okay.
Yeah.
How many stacks did you generate from that?
So we generated about so actually we sold them at 50 stacks per NFT. But we also did like we had a wait list, like a white list, and also we did some trading on NeoSwap. So I think what it comes down to is like about 10,000 stacks in total, what we generated off the collection.
Oh, nice. Okay, so that's not a bad business for
Yeah,
being university. Yeah,
the only
that's not.
problem the only problem was that like the day we launched was the lowest date, like the lowest price of Bitcoin since 2020. So
Oh,
yeah, we
oh,
totally screwed up the launch date.
well, you can't control that. Man, who knows,
Yeah,
right? But no, that's nice. I mean, it's a business in the sense that it's not a startup, meaning that you it's more linear, right? You know, you're gonna put in work, and then you have like a certain number of product, right? And it's not scalable in a sense. Where a startup is like once you build that product and you reach product market fit, even when you're sleeping, as long as the internet servers run, is making money for you, right? So it's a little different, which is what you're doing now, right? Um, and so what what made you want to try what you're doing now? Right. So you did this thing. I understand you launched at a bad time, but still you did good. You know, some people don't even get their first collection launched, or some people launch it, they don't sell out. You know, you did okay. It wasn't bad. It was like I would say it's like a success and a stepping stone, good experience to a bigger success. Now, what was missing from that? What did you want to do something more risky, right?
yeah. So I think the biggest success from this NFT collection was one thing is like getting to know the amazing community that is in the Bitcoin community, also in the Stacks community. So that was part of it, and yeah, like there are amazing people that are so helpful and like so willing to help. And what we noticed with our collection is that there was no real like infrastructure for NFTs. At the time we were launching on Ethereum, the first kind of infrastructural platforms were launching, things like NFTFi. But on Stacks, it was still missing. And kind of we always had this Bitcoin ethos in the sense that like we want to do something that is correlated to Bitcoin, because Bitcoin is just like the biggest cryptocurrency. It's the most centralized, and doing something on stacks was just like the natural evolution. So when we noticed that, we knew, okay, we want to do something with NFTs, build infrastructure around it. But we didn't have a CTO at the time. Like we didn't have anyone who can code. We were a team of 3 people. So we heard about the Bitcoin Startup Lab, was called Stacks Pre-Accelerator back then, and we just thought, okay, let's just give it a shot. Let's propose some idea. Let's send in the pitch deck. Right.
Hold on. What was the idea? Just to let people know, because this is, if I remember correctly, this is like beginning of last April, so over a year ago now, right? I think it was like beginning of April plus or minus, or maybe end of April.
Yeah.
I forgot,
So
but it was around that time.
around that.
Yeah, so it's 1 year ago. And what was the idea you started with? This is, I think
Yeah.
this is really interesting, right? And by the way, for the audience that's just joining us, this is Robin, CEO and co-founder of Liquidium. We're about to get to what that exactly is, but right now we're playing back the reel to see how Robin got to where he is today, building on Bitcoin. Okay, so we haven't forgot about that. I know we haven't talked a lot about Bitcoin right now, but we're getting to that. But what was the first idea, right? You're on Stacks. And by the way, everyone, Robin was in, you were in university at that time, right? In university.
Yes. Yes.
And you're working at Apple, right? And
Yes.
you're doing your NFT collection. Okay. So that goes to show that, whenever people say, oh, I don't have enough time. No, sorry. It's whether you want to do it or not. So whether you want to do it or not, right? So, okay, so the third thing that you're doing here is like, okay, so I did an NFT collection and now I have an idea. You guys have an idea, like, and what was the idea that you applied with? I forgot. Remind me.
So the initial idea was to build an NFT swapping platform, where like we call it social swap, where you could like connect with another guy and just have like a trading room where you can swap one NFT against another NFT. So yeah, something like SudoSwap is doing on Ethereum. At that time, like we thought, okay, it's a great idea because it's kind of fun, just like trading Pokemon cards or something. At the end of the day, we noticed that, like through the Bitcoin Startup Lab, we noticed that it doesn't really like make money, because if you just swap one NFT for another NFT, nobody wants to like put in a fee, because if they would need to put in like Bitcoin or stacks into it, they would just do like an OTC trade. So and also NeoSwap, like NeoSwap was doing AI proposed swaps, which also was like an even better idea and an even more advanced idea of what we had. So we had to pivot.
Okay, that's interesting. You know what? No doubt NeoSwap is definitely that's gonna become like an iconic company in the future.
Definitely. And John
But
Ennis is very supportive and helpful.
yeah, no, the guy's like definitely on top of stuff. He's a genius. At the same time, like no product fits every single use case, right? And that's why we have so many products in the world. Like personally, I still like that idea actually. Like I could see how there's value to it, right? But perhaps you are correct that uh building a business model around that may be very difficult. It may be very difficult, right? So so once you figure that out, what happened? Like, okay, I mean, like it must have been not a good feeling, right? You guys got into this our pre-exciter and with an idea, and then you also got a couple. How many people were you working back? You had like a team of 3, I think, coming into it, right?
Yes, right.
Is you, Leo, and Julian. right? And then so great job, by the way, getting three friends together, or two friends, three people total. So what was like the sentiment? Like what were you guys feeling at that moment?
It was kind of like, damn, that sucks because we applied with this idea and this idea got us accepted, and now we apparently have to throw it away. So it was kind of like, okay, what are we going to do now? And I think that's just like kind of uh, my stubbornness is like, okay, if like if you're telling me I can do it, I can do it. And I was just like talking to the other guys. They were like down, and I was saying like, okay, we gotta do something big, and let's just research. Let's see what the market is looking for right now. And then we kind of noticed on Ethereum, NFTFi was coming along, Arcade was starting to develop their platform at that time. And I was saying like, okay, that's like, this is getting huge traction. We have Aave, we have Curve. These are the biggest protocols on Ethereum, and these are lending protocols. And we don't have lending for NFTs, or like NFTFi is the first one to do it, and they are just now starting to get traction. So let's do that. Like, let's do NFT lending on Stacks. And this was kind of the pivotal moment where we had the idea that we're still,
Yeah,
yeah,
that that's really smart. Before I say why that's smart, let me just for the record, I did like your idea when I read your application, but it wasn't because of your idea. It was like it was an okay idea. It's because of you, Robin. Right? We never admit people into the program based on an idea. Ideas are actually like, you know, every single idea, you know, in our business, you'll hear at least 10 times, like the good ones and the bad ones.
right.
Right. So it's not, the ideas are actually not that interesting. Like it's really more about the character of the founder, right?
Yeah, it was
Um
definitely like this was one of the most important lessons, to learn how to pivot and to let loose of ideas, or to not marry ideas. And I think
yeah.
it helped us a lot to also pivot later down the line from kind of Stacks to later one Bitcoin, which we can get in later.
Yeah. And then so absolutely mental flexibility is a habit and an attitude of every successful founder, because I believe that there are a lot of unnatural things about our society, but perhaps the most natural thing is entrepreneurship. Why? Because the one thing I've noticed in the universe that is a constant is change, right? And entrepreneurship adapts to the changes of the market and creates something new, right? That's what innovation is. It's just adapting to new time, creating something more suitable for what we need now, right? And so you did that beautifully. Now, the reason why I thought it was so smart, not, you know, just of course like pivoting is smart, being flexible is smart, but I think pivoting to this idea of smart is because for those of you who are thinking about getting into the Web3 space, um, blockchain is designed so each blockchain is sort of like its own country, right? Because it's different code. So it's like there's like an invisible barrier between each one. It's not like Web2 internet where everything flows really with each other. Not like that. And so Robin was talking about DeFi with NFTs on Ethereum, which is its own camp, right? And Stacks and Bitcoin is on another camp. There's like you can't cross over. Well, I mean now you have some technology to cross over, but it's you know, if for all uh intensive purposes, it's like okay, you see something growing on Ethereum and it's doing better and better, right? But on Stacks and Bitcoin, it's a blue ocean. Like there's a lot of fertile soil, but no one planted that seed, right? And then you just transplanting it over, right? That idea, right? So I think that's a really great way to de-risk stuff, right? See what's being done in another market. It's sort of like, you know, back in the day, like China is quite advanced now, but back in the day, China would just watch what America does and then just copy to China, right? um,
Right.
so, but I think in this case, it's sort of like Ethereum is a smaller market than Bitcoin. I mean, look at all the activity on Ethereum. Right? It's got like almost 99% of DeFi. Before Ordinals, it had like 99% of NFT trading too, right? Or 95%. And even with tens of thousands of dApps and applications running on Ethereum, even then, its market cap is only half of what Bitcoin is. And Bitcoin only has a couple hundred applications running on it, if that, right? So it's like less than 1% activated, but yet its market cap is double of Ethereum. So like imagine like this is like this massive blue ocean out there, right? And finally, recently we have the tools to build on it and to create the same things on Ethereum, but only bigger and better on Bitcoin. That's a fact, right? And so this is what's I think is so exciting about what you're doing with Liquidium. So before you let the cat out of the bag, so you're doing this, and um what I remember there was a pivotal point, right? Because you want to do this, and I remember you guys almost like pivoted again, right? But then what happened to bring it back? Can you share that part of the story with our audience?
Can you help me real quick, because I don't know exactly
Yeah, I
what you mean.
remember with this new idea, um you guys were going to do something else, but then your users said no, you have to do this project. Do you
Oh,
remember
yeah,
that?
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Um,
Okay.
right. So, what, like the we kind of were very heavily invested into the idea of doing NFT lending on stacks. And we created like everything that was in our power of like kind of creating in terms of, we did like prototypes on Figma, we designed stuff for it, created some like a little community around it and everything. But we were missing someone who's technical. We were missing a developer. And in the Bitcoin Startup Lab, there were people that are software engineers, and we felt like, okay, we have to work together with someone who has a technical background. So we started talking to some guys, and then kind of the like we were talking to this one guy who basically invited us to join his team, and we said like, okay, without a technical guy, we can't do it. So let's join him. And then we kind of announced on our Discord and Twitter, okay, we are pausing our NFT lending project, and yeah, we're joining someone else now, and that's going to be fun. And that was the point where first the users started screaming like, no, stop, we want you here, we need this product. And that was kind of the first real validation that we had, is like users saying, okay, like stop, don't stop this project, we need this, we want this. And that's when we like had motivation again and just said, okay, fuck it, let's go back to our project and find someone who joins
Pretty
us.
much,
Like,
pretty
yeah.
much. So okay, so thanks for sharing that with the audience, Robin. So this is a lot of people, like when I tell them like, we are sort of like, we could control a little bit about what happens in our life, right? But a lot of the time the great projects pick us. And this is like they pull us in, right? It's like in your case, when the project pulled you in, it was the users pulling you in. Right? And this is like one of the signs where if you guys feel like, oh wow, there are customers begging us or trying to convince us to do this, yeah, come to the Bitcoin Startup Lab, right? And we'll help you supercharge that. We'll help you turn that pull, that gravitational pull, into a proper startup, right? And so this is a great example. You got early adopters who basically they had NFTs, they needed liquidity, but they didn't want to sell their NFT. Instead, why don't we just use the NFT as a collateral, and then you give them the liquidity they need, right? And they pay it back based on interest, right? And people are willing to borrow, lend them more money because they put their NFT up as collateral, right? As basically insurance. Yeah. So that's a brilliant idea. You took like a proven traditional business model, right? But then you executed it in a Web3 blockchain space, right? So before we get into how this evolved into something that was even more connected with Bitcoin layer one, what was the turning point? Because I remember you guys, you guys almost joined the other team. Then your early adopters pulled you back into this one, right? And then it was at the end of almost at the end of the program, right? And you guys were still struggling with finding a CTO, but then you found a CTO.
Right.
How did you find him? And then what happened after that?
Yeah, so we were lucky to have got like a network from the Bitcoin Startup Lab, because there were some people who were still like solo founders, and there was this one guy who had a very strong software engineering background, and he was a solo founder, and he was kind of struggling to get or to find product market fit, in a sense, or to find early adopters for his product. And then and I was talking to Albert at that time and just asking like, hey, what should we do? And Albert said like, okay, Pete, this one guy I was talking about, he also needs help. So I called him. I knew it like it was yesterday. I was in what's the country name in English? Anyways, I was on a boat, and and
Well,
I
what
called
is it in
him like
German? What's the country name in German?
it's Kroatien. So I think it's Croatia in
Croatia, right,
yeah,
right.
yeah,
It's
Croatia.
next to
Yeah,
Italy, right?
right,
Yeah,
right. Yeah,
yeah, it's
exactly.
got good weather. I've been there. I went cliff jumping
Yeah,
there, but yeah,
nice,
story
nice.
for another day. So go back to Pete.
Yeah. So I was calling Pete, and I was like on this boat looking silly, and I was like, okay, so who are you? Kind of like, no, we were
Right,
just
you're on
talking,
vacation
and
that time, right? Yeah.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
And like he was a super chill guy. He was like the youngest founder, like after us, I think,
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
from this
Right.
cohort. So it was
Aside
kind
from
of
you.
like a perfect match. It was just like we were vibing from like the first conversation we had, and he immediately joined us, and from like as soon as he joined, we started building, and then like I don't know, just like a couple months later, we had like our MVP.
No, thank you for sharing that, because that is also a great lesson, I think, for every single entrepreneur, every single young or starting up entrepreneur. This is another great show of mental flexibility, right? A lot of people, they don't realize how much another co-founder, how much help, or what a big boost another co-founder could give them. But you were very aware of that. And see, you had early adopters. You had found like a very juicy market. Pete, he's got the technical experience, but he couldn't find that juicy market, right? So you guys both had, it's like almost like a match made in heaven, right? You guys both had something you guys needed, and then you guys had the wisdom. Although you guys were young, you guys had the wisdom to just, hey, let's work together, right? Yeah, and for the listeners, Pete is a phenomenal software engineer. He graduated, I think, from UPenn, which is, I think, the same university as Elon Musk, right? So another top university. Yeah, and then so you guys got together. You had like the hungry customers. He had the tech, and you guys put it together, right? Um, and so when did you guys launch the product?
Yeah, so in December we had our MVP ready, and like obviously we were in a bear market, and Stacks was still kind of small at that time, but we still managed to get like good traction at that time. So we started giving out or facilitating the first loans, and then kind of after some time there was this one guy coming in who was like very hungry for liquidity and had like over $100,000 worth of NFTs, and he was just like borrowing and borrowing, and yeah, actually now we have like we had about 70 loans in total on our MVP on Stacks, and about $20,000 of borrow volume. And
Nice.
then
It's
like
not bad.
about yeah, it's definitely something like I think especially for the market that we launched in. And then like 2 months after that, like in February, Casey was talking about ordinals, and Julian, who's like the other
Hold on,
founder,
hold on.
yeah,
Robin, I want to interrupt you for a second. All right. So this is,
okay,
you launched in December. So this is like 5 months ago. Okay. In December, 5 months ago. And then a couple of months later, February. All right. You guys heard about Ordinals, which is basically almost when it launched, because Ordinals launched last week of January-ish. Right. So, but let's go back a little bit before we get into Ordinals, because this is a juicy part, right? This is like your journey into Bitcoin. So
okay,
the
okay,
layer one. But remember the conversation we had in November? You're making a decision with a platform. There you were thinking about doing like the same type of direction, but the architecture would be different. But the trade-off was that you would probably be launching in February, right? Or later than December. Do you still remember
right,
that?
yeah,
What was that? Well, can you just share? Because look, there's a lot of budding entrepreneurs and aspiring innovators here, right? And I think if you share that experience, I think it could save a lot of people a lot of pain. So what was it like? You know, and a lot of times in a startup, it's like, do I go left or do I go right? And they both have
right.
their pros and cons. So tell us, like, what were those two choices that was in front of you?
Yeah, so this is also, by the way, the reason why I refer to the product we had back then as an MVP is because, like, obviously with an NFT lending protocol, you want to have lenders and borrowers. But that just like it's a big project, and like there's a lot of technical difficulty because you have to create a two-sided marketplace, and at that time we were thinking about a peer-to-pool mechanism, which is even more difficult because you have to like put up liquidity pools, and these liquidity pools provide liquidity to borrowers, and that's like it's
There's a lot of moving
pretty
pieces.
yeah, right. um
There's a lot of moving
so
pieces that you also have to fit together and then make sure they work together. Yeah,
right,
so it's like,
right. um And then we were lucky to like we received a grant from the Stacks Foundation, which helped us a lot in the beginning. And so Albert was just saying like, okay, bring it to market fast, and then you can iterate on it, you can make changes on it. And I was like, where do we get the liquidity from? And then I was kind of thinking, should we risk it? Like, should we just put all of the money from our grant into this product and just like send it out to
all the money,
borrowers?
all the hard-earned money that you earned, right, for that, all
Right,
that
right.
work.
and
and then only to risk it.
lend it away. So that's what we did. Yeah. So we were kind of the lender at that time, and it was a very good decision because we went to market very fast. We could make some like improvements that I think we couldn't have done if we didn't have the feedback from our customers. And this is also it also helped us to get something out before ordinals were launched, which is now a blessing.
Yeah, and if you opened up door number B and did the other thing, right? How much longer would the development have taken you?
I think like it would definitely have taken us like at least 1.5 or 2 months longer.
Wow. So then that would put you after the ordinals, right? So
Right.
the ordinals obviously, is like a big wave in the ocean. So if you hadn't launched before that, then you would have probably missed that wave or have to catch it on the back end. Okay. So yeah, that's also one of the things that the one of the mindset shifts that people learn at the Bitcoin Startup Lab. I'm just talking to the audience now. We are definitely oversimplifying this, but in order for a founder to be able to see that and to make the right decision, there's a lot of exercises that have to happen that lead up to that point, right? So, but you did all the coursework, which is we don't have any theoretical coursework. It's all learned by doing, and it's all applied to building your startup in real time, right? And Robin, you did that, uh, with flying colors. And so a few months later, when you launched your product, you guys were able to make the right decision and launch early, right? And like you said, you're getting customer feedback, and because you also launched early, you're able to catch the ordinals wave, right? And so this is a highlight of today's conversation. Uh, so Julian saw something with ordinals, right?
Yeah, so actually like Julian is our CMO and he's like really non-technical, I would say. Like he knows the stuff like he read about, but um he's like on Twitter all day and just like posting and stuff. And he kind of got wind of ordinals very early on. He was in this Discord group with Bitcoin Rocks, where like the first people, like there were like tens of people in it, and they started like inscribing ordinals, and they like you had to have your own node, and like it was a lot of hacking together. And Julian was just like, I don't know any of this. I will just like watch it. So he missed out on Bitcoin Rocks, which would have made him like $300,000 at least right now.
Yeah. Oh,
So he's
geez.
very mad about that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But at the same time,
Yeah.
he was calling me and said like, dude, we gotta do ordinals. We gotta make advantage of this. This is like NFTs on native Bitcoin. This is like the next
Oh,
big shit.
so he also has a business mind like you. Yeah.
Yeah,
I met the
definitely.
creator of the Rock Ordinals. Nice guy, really nice guy. Um, but yeah. So okay, so you guys saw this idea, and then like you already have this running stacks NFTs, put it up as collateral, get a liquidity loan out, right? And then now you guys do an upgrade. Now, like, can you quickly explain um how that works? Like, okay, well, you have the ordinal, right, which is basically the NFT on Bitcoin, and now they're very valuable. So now you're locking that up um as collateral, and then people could take Bitcoin out, and then whoever loans out the Bitcoin, guess what? They get a yield on it in native Bitcoin. Is that what's happening? Can you sort of walk through the process so the audience knows?
Right. So it's essentially what we did before, with the only difference that we are now creating a two-sided marketplace, meaning we have a peer-to-peer platform where uh, where borrowers can request can request a loan by using their ordinal as collateral, and this ordinal is going to like an escrow where it is held until the loan is repaid, kind of. And on the other hand, you have lenders who can see the requests and they can accept these requests. And kind of the beauty of peer-to-peer is that you don't have to rely on floor prices or anything, because a borrower and a lender can just negotiate on like the right term, and everyone is happy at the end.
Wow, that's brilliant. That's brilliant. So that was basically what you guys want to do as a marketplace, right? In the beginning, but you start off with one piece, and now it's evolved to the peer-to-peer, right?
Right.
I can see how this is going to evolve. But before we get into that, this is I'd like to make a side note. Is the technology you're building on with DLCs and deep lake?
Right. So
Yeah,
this is
okay.
the time where we come into the accelerator phase. So I guess the goal of the Bitcoin Startup Lab was to get us ready for like the Stacks Accelerator at that time. Now it's called the Bitcoin Frontier Fund Accelerator. And the like the team that we're working with now, they were also in the Bitcoin Startup Lab, and they are also now in the accelerator. And when ordinals came around, we knew, okay, we need a partner who is doing like basic infrastructure for Bitcoin. The latest technology is DLCs, and Deep Lake, who we have a very good connection with, luckily are doing exactly that. So we kind of
Yeah.
got in talks with
Right
them
place,
and said,
right
like,
time. But of course, you're
right,
also a phenomenal founder. You guys have a great team to be able to leverage their technology. But man, you guys are doing all the right things. I mean, ordinals, DLCs, layer one, Bitcoin. It's like it's like the perfect storm. So, Robin, the audience knows that by now people have pieced together. Be you user, strategic partner, or right, the creator of an ordinals collection or another NFT collection, even, and even some of the audience are investors. Now they piece together that this is the perfect storm, right? And this tsunami is building and building, and we're not even at the peak of the tsunami of the ordinal space, or even of this new renaissance that's happening on Bitcoin right now. But you are, to the best of my knowledge, going to be the first company that launches with ordinals DeFi solution. Okay, and that's very
absolutely.
exciting. And by the way, everyone, this is a decentralized solution where you can put up your ordinals, right, as collateral, and then you get out a loan. And if you're the person lending out Bitcoin, you could get real native Bitcoin yield back. So this is one of the game changers. This is going to open up an entire genre of Bitcoin startups. Again, non-custodial, earning native Bitcoin yield. This is super exciting. All right, this is like the moment like a lot of us have been waiting for, right? And finally, the market is here, and the emerging technologies have finally matured, so we can build the same Web3 Ethereum companies, but only bigger and better on Bitcoin. Okay, so let's start with the users. Like you already have active users, and by the way, congratulations on your success with launching on Stacks. But as I understand it, you have some alpha to drop for the users who have ordinals, right, and who have Bitcoin to loan and want to get native Bitcoin yield. Like what does this timeline look like? Can you share a little bit of alpha with us?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're going to be in Miami next week. Pete is going to be a speaker, our CTO. Super excited for that. And right after Miami, we will launch our early access version of Liquidium, which is essentially like a whitelist version. You can, like, right now submit your email address to our waitlist, or we collab with many partners, and they also hand out some early access tickets. Right now, the waitlist is very full. Like, there are about 16,000 people on it right now. So super excited for that. But we will be
60,000 people. What did you say?
16,000.
Oh, 16,000
Yeah,
people on the wait list.
16,000
OMG.
people.
All right. So how many people are gonna be able to get the white list?
Yeah, so for like, we will roll it out in tranches. Like the first tranche will be about 1,500 people. And we will kind of like raffle from the waitlist, meaning like even if you submit your email address right now, you still have a chance to be picked for the first tranche. And then for the second tranche, it will be about like 5,000 people, and the third tranche, again, about 5,000 people, until we launch the product publicly.
All right, perfect. All right, so yeah, I was lucky enough to pick up a few ordinals early on. I hope I could be on that first 10%. You said 1,500 out of 6. That's roughly 10%, like a little less than 10%. Yeah, so make sure I'm on that whitelist.
Yeah, absolutely. You will be there.
Awesome, awesome. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to trying it out. It was a big success when you did the first version on Stacks, and now you've upgraded to ordinals. Amazing, amazing. So this is happening right after Miami. And by the way, if you guys are listening on this, again, Liquidium, Robin's co-founder and CTO Pete will be speaking at Ordinals 2023. This is going to be a really big event. It's actually the first conference, and they're actually having a hackathon too. It's not the first Ordinals hackathon. I'm proud to say that the Bitcoin Startup Lab would create the Bitcoin Olympics, and that was actually the first Ordinals hackathon globally in this space. But you know, this is Ordinals 2023 is the first offline conference like focus on Ordinals. So it's going to be a great show, and a lot of the industry leaders are going to be there, including a lot of investors in Ordinals, and also a lot of Ordinals collections creators, which actually brings me to the next point, right? On one side, you have to have people with Ordinals putting up their Ordinals up as collateral to take out loans, right? So it you know, correct me if I'm wrong, does this mean that you're too strategic, and they had to, you know, take out a loan? So someone's putting up their Bitcoin, right, to loan out to people. So it sounds like you have two strategic partners here. Like one is Ordinals collection creators, number one, and number two are people who have like idle Bitcoin. Well, most of it's idle right now anyways, right? And they want to put into something in a non-custodial way, and they get back Bitcoin yield. Can you talk about these two like groups of users, or in my mind, it's more like strategic partners, right? What are they getting, and how do they look like, right? I'm sure some of the audience here are fit either one or both of those categories, right?
Yeah, so for Bitcoin lenders, so people who provide the loans, they will, like, exactly as you said, they will lend BTC on this decentralized platform, and they will get a yield on it. And historically, when you look at NFT lending services, like the interest rates are usually around like 50% per year on average, which is like a very high yield. Obviously, it's also high risk because you run the risk of the loan being not repaid, meaning you will get the collateral. So like it's essentially two chances. One is you get like a very decent interest rate, or you get an ordinal at a pretty good discount. So like either way, it's it's going to be like fun to be a lender. And for collections, we are going to have like a featured section on our page on the top, where you can just reach out to us, and we can see if you can get if we can get you featured. At least you will get like a verification badge if you apply. So like people can find your collection on our platform. But if you want to be featured, we would also be happy to partner with some collections on that, just to get you some more exposure and also have some pretty solid partners.
Okay, so actually we could do two ways on this, right? One way are the people who want to go for like the 50% interest rate, right? And if people don't pay up, then the lender gets the ordinal as collateral, right? That's optional. That's like one extreme. Like the high interest rate, perhaps you could get the ordinals, right? But I could also see users and investors, or people on the other side who perhaps maybe they want the ordinal is like the fallback plan, but they actually probably just want to put their Bitcoin up, and if they get even a few percentage points, but most likely they'll get the Bitcoin instead of the ordinals. I could also see people on the other side of the spectrum, right? And of course, this lending credit market is so wide and so it's like a rainbow of risk and interest, right? The ratio between risk and interest and return, basically. So you know, if I understand correctly, your first product will be the high risk, high return, or the ordinal, right?
Exactly.
And then like what does a roadmap look like? Because I'm assuming that you're gonna have more and more products for people.
Yeah, you're definitely right. So we're planning to also add like a peer-to-pool mechanism, meaning many lenders can pool together. They can just like put their money into like one Bitcoin pool, and this Bitcoin pool will be used to lend BTC to borrowers, and then we will like prevent defaults in that say in that sense that like you will get an interest no matter what happens, but it will be like a lower interest. And if a loan isn't repaid, we will kind of like auction off the NFT or the ordinal and like repay this money into the BTC vault, meaning like there will be still a decent amount of interest generated. So this will be kind of the low risk lending option for people that just want like a decent yield but without any risks.
Yeah, so this is I mean you have a big year ahead of you. This is right.
Definitely.
How long did it take you guys to add the additional functionality from, you know, like when I say add the additional functionality, let me explain that. So you had the stacks NFTs running already, right? So that was great. People are getting value from that. Um Creators, lenders, and even people with NFTs, right, getting loans to create liquidity. Now, how long did it take you to launch this first version of the ordinals lending? Like,
Dude,
what was
like
it?
we had to rebuild the entire platform from scratch,
Okay.
because like stacks development and like smart contracts and everything has nothing to do with like Bitcoin development. So
Right.
and also like our UI was kind of focused on these instant loans, so we essentially also rebuilt our UI from scratch. We had like a lot of learnings, obviously, from our MVP, but like from zero to now, it took us about 3 months in total.
Okay. All right. And then how much of those, like roughly speaking, I'm guessing some of those components can be reused to develop the next products,
Right.
correct? So the
Yep.
I mean, it almost seems like you guys will have maybe like one new product out every month, lending, borrowing, almost. Yeah, right. Because it speeds up, right? The first one is always like the most difficult. And
Yep.
afterwards, as you add on variations to that, you can use a lot of the same stuff, code, etc. And so, yeah, I mean, like I sort of see like a shopping mall, or like a almost like a portal for different types of lending, borrowing products. Um, Between in the beginning it's just ordinals, um, and Bitcoin, right? But it could expand to many other asset classes in Bitcoin. But in any event, this year it looks like you're going to have several products for different types of people to choose from, which is really exciting. And I think you'll also need that, because if you already have 16,000 people on your wait list, then they're going to have, these people are going to be, some people are going to be like low risk, low return. Some people are going to be high risk, high return. And then of course, there's going to be a rainbow of people in the middle. And then also, you know, ordinals is just the first asset class that we're doing with this, right? So this is like the beginning of a massive company. I, for one, I'm very lucky to be your first investor. Okay. So I'm feeling pretty good about this. And as I understand it, some people that contributed to your project early on, you guys also brought an investment. So you guys are and you guys got investment from the Bitcoin Frontier Fund, which is another investor, right? So you guys are and you guys are doing great, right? You guys have a full-on team going on here, keeping your burn rate really low now. But I'm sure, because I have some friends who are interested also in investing, but I know, like, you know, probably you guys are not really in a rush to get investment right now, because you have your nose to your grindstone about to launch this huge thing for, you know, the 16,000 people on wait list right after Miami. But, you know, can you give us a little taste about, you know, roughly when you would probably entertain the next round of investment? Like what does that look like? Can you give us investors, the investors, the audience, a little taste maybe of what's coming next? Because you will need money to grow fast, right? And you build a great foundation and you guys are ready to go fast.
Yeah, I just wanted to touch like one point that you said, like about like our roadmap kind of. So to the best of my knowledge, we're the first Bitcoin DeFi platform too. Like there is no Bitcoin lending protocol out there yet, which is like entirely on layer one. So I think like ordinal DeFi is just what we're calling it, because we kind of want to like we don't want to put our expectations too high, but we will certainly like deliver that. I think under promise, over deliver kind of. So yeah, definitely exciting roadmap. And when it comes to like opening our round, so in Miami, we're definitely looking forward to just like connect to a bunch of people. We already have some people sign up for our funding round, but we're probably going to open in early June. So right around when we have our demo day with the Bitcoin Frontier Fund Accelerator.
Thank you. No, absolutely. So I just want to give the audience sort of like an idea about how big DeFi lending on Bitcoin layer one could be, right? So as many of us know, today is 2023 May 14th, and last I checked, Bitcoin's market cap is around half a trillion, around $500 billion, right? A little bit over double Ethereum. Now Ethereum has you know, correct me if I'm wrong, you know, don't quote me on this, but I believe Ethereum has almost like a third of its total market cap locked up on DeFi protocols. Okay. But here's an interesting thing, right? I believe like the biggest chunk of that is on lending and borrowing protocols, like
right,
Aave, etc. So it's like the biggest category, and rightly so, because globally, if you look at credit markets, like out, you know, including crypto, last year, you know, depending on how to count it, you know, is anywhere from 200 to 300 trillion dollars. Okay. And then by comparison, Bitcoin is $500 billion. So the sky is really the limit. And we're just talking about like ordinals, that's a subset of that, right? So this is, like you said, I think this is a great way to capture the market, because ordinals are on the uptrend, and it's like a natural collateral. It's all digital, right? Everything happens digitally, right? But we can apply this to other digital assets in the future. I could totally see, because your CTO is also very strong, graduate from UPenn. I can see you guys activating a AI program to check on chain, right? Because more and more businesses will be taking the revenue in as Bitcoin, right? And since everything's transparent on the Bitcoin blockchain, you can use AI to see their revenue records, right? Revenue in and out records, and then you could project out a loan. Say, okay, based on your revenue records, we can give you a loan based on this in Bitcoin. That's even a bigger asset class than ordinals is going to be.
Definitely.
Right, because now you're tapping into like the power of the businesses running on this new sustainable Web3 Bitcoin economy that is emerging, right? So that's even more massive. And that will get us into the trillions. That will get us into the trillions, right? So this is it's $500 billion or half a trillion, 500 billion right now. So this is like super exciting. You guys are the first, and you guys are launching. I guess already working on test net, right? It's launching like live right after Miami. I'm excited, man. What are some like, you know, we're about to close. We're running up on time here. You know, let's bring it back to founders, because we definitely like this. Like what this means is that even like 16,000 signups on Bitcoin, that's like already eye-popping, because we're so early on in the game. This is like nothing compared to like say half a year from now. I believe like half a year from now, you can multiply by 5 or 0, and then next year it's gonna getting hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people on Bitcoin. So this is really exciting. And but we can't do this alone, right? You're one company, we're one company. We have a family of companies building on Bitcoin. But can you inspire? Can you share, like, some what are, there's a lot of people in the audience that are thinking about building on Bitcoin, right? They're like, is it still too early? Is it like, Ethereum still looks bigger, or I should probably do AI or whatever, right? What do you want to build on Bitcoin? And maybe you can inspire some people to come our way.
Yeah, so I mean, I think we are kind of showing that everything is possible, because like we're a very young team, and we're building something that like doesn't exist right now. Like we're building the first DeFi protocol on Bitcoin, and I think like if we can do it, you can do it too. So I guess like my biggest learning was to like just start building, just do something, and as soon like you will not immediately have the right product or the right opportunity, but if you are prepared and an opportunity comes, you can catch it, and that will be kind of like your launch pad. And I think there's so much room to just explore Bitcoin, to explore blockchain in general. So much untapped potential, especially with Bitcoin, because it has such a high market cap and is still so like not used in a sense. So let's just activate this big financial instrument and start building on it.
Yeah, I'm super excited, Robin, and looking forward to seeing you in Miami. And again, this is CEO, to the audience, this is CEO and co-founder of Liquidium, probably the very first Bitcoin DeFi protocol, lending borrowing protocol on Bitcoin. At least it is the first, the best of my knowledge, it is the first. So, and you heard it from Robin, they're a young team, but they have the courage to just jump in and do it. And now they're in a very great position. And you know what? It is still early stages, early ages. It is still early days for Bitcoin. And you guys can either like there's a few things you could do, right? One, you could become one of the first users of Liquidium, right? And finally, you can start getting native Bitcoin yield. That's amazing. Okay. Or you could be an investor, and if you get lucky enough, you may be able to get into the next round, which, as you know, if you're an investor, is going to be limited to a certain amount of people and money. But in any event, maybe you might want to get into this Bitcoin renaissance. There's two ways, right? One way, you could join Liquidium. The other way is, if you have another different idea, right, you could join the Bitcoin Startup Lab, and we're going to help you. And then you can meet a bunch of great founders like Robin, right? So thank you again to the audience. Thank you, Robin, for being with us.
Thanks for having me. It was a pleasure.